do.
Oh, too late. Too late. I've already started recording, Alexander.
Okay, off we go.
Officially the nicest man on the internet.
Off we go. Right.
Oh, he missed that. I just called him the nicest man on the internet. He just went.
Oh, lovely. Sorry, Mark. I'm with you. Sorry, I was looking at my notes. Yeah, very, very kind of you. Thank you.
I loved. There was a video you did the other week with somebody I really like. I'm just going to find it. Yeah, Michael Della Rocca. And your introduction to him was so sweet.
Well, you know, he's a lovely guy. He's a lovely guy. You know, it's we're all part of a piece of a puzzle. We all bring something important, and it's not, you know, people are drawn to other people for reasons. And I think he's a really lovely, sweet guy. And you know, he's a bit of a heartthrob in the thing. I messaged him about a year ago. And then he came back one night on LinkedIn. He said, in his New York, very, very thick New York accent, like, okay, I'm ready to go, Tobias. And his like New York, Jersey accent. And I was like, well, and I was like, sat like having a green tea at 11 o'clock at night. And I thought, you know, it's no time like the present. My eyes were practically closing, but I said, okay, right, I'm free in 10 minutes, off we go. So we did it. So it happened, and there it was. And sometimes you have to be in, you know, live in the present, be in the now, because you never know what's going to come up. So yeah, it was a bit of a last minute thing.
Yeah, I've been following him for a while, and I love his energy and his style. He's great fun. Anyway, been over a year since I spoke to you, Buttercup.
Yeah, it's been over a year. I always enjoy talking to you because we're two fellow sort of Brits, and you know, usually I'm speaking to Americans. I love the Americans. I used to live in America, but it's always fun. So I feel like we have a similar sort of energetic level of what English people would use a colloquialism termed as sort of banter. But of course, you know, we both have. Oh, that's love. Oh God, that's gorgeous,
isn't it? Sorry to interrupt you, but this is wonderful.
Do you know what that is, or do you want me to tap into it?
Tap into it, because I know what it is, but you can tap into it.
Okay, God. Well, if it's different than what you're getting, then that'll be embarrassing. But is this Arcturian? Is this Andromedan? Well, I am actually getting Arcturian. I thought it was Arcturian, but I'm getting Arcturian.
Yeah, it's one of my subscribers. She's an artist and channels this, and this is this lovely pillow in and of itself is healing. That's why I wanted to show it.
Yeah,
but I know you love Arcturian stuff. I thought you'd like that. I'm going to find. I'll send you the link to where her stuff is. She's a really good artist.
Yeah, I mean, that's gorgeous. I mean, there's a lot of blue beings out there. So, you know, some of them are, I mean, there's so many humanoid blue beings out there. Not all, there are lots that actually look Arcturian. The Arcturians actually have a skin that is actually, if you were to actually see one, it's actually got a very subtle green, almost slightly more greeny, bluey type tint to it. A lot of people paint them pure blue, but a lot of the Andromedans from Xanate and so on and so forth are got that more of a blue color. So that's why I just wanted to just double check and tap in to see if it really was an Arcturian, because there are so many bits, like the greys. There are hundreds of different species of greys, and people think they're all evil and they're not, and so on. We have to be very careful of what, you know, we're putting out there. You know, there are reptilian Andromedans. You know, as a certain ET species evolves, you go beyond cross races to cross species as they project out to the galaxy. So, and you know, that's when I'm doing readings for clients and things, and they want me to do a chart of where they've come from and stuff. And I say, you know, there's reptilian in there. They freak out because.
Well, they always freak out with the reptilians, and it's been a big thing in my consciousness in the last 6 months. This what you're talking about is really, really important, that we don't just go, it's just one group like this and one group like that, because it's kind of like galactic racism going on, and we've got to just realize there's thousands of species, and we've got to realize that we're all hybrids as well.
Yeah. Well, we the Pleiadians term our planet as the living library. because a lot of the genetic code for a lot of the species, particularly in this galaxy, are all harbored within a lot of the animals and the flora and the fauna that we actually see and that live around us. It's like an actual, that place that stored all the seeds in Iceland or Antarctica, flooded. It's a bit like that, but galactically. So a lot of the animals and things that we have, they're actually ETs that actually look out there, that actually look like some of the insects and the trees and the flora and the fauna things that we have.
Well, Terence McKenna used to talk about the mushrooms being aliens.
Mm. Terence McKenna. I mean, wow, what a guy.
Yeah, I had some what they called truffles the other day, and the label was Druid, which is basically as strong as they get. And I was out for about 4 hours. It was amazing. Yeah, they're certainly not from this earth. Well, I don't know. None of us are from here, are we? I mean, this is the Akashic records apparently contain everything from every plant and insect and creature, not just us. Every single thing that's ever happened. That's a big library.
Yeah, they do, but they do. That's very correct. What is interesting about the Akashic record? It is a representation of not only our past but our future as well, because time is not linear within the Akashic record. So it is a representation of our potentiality of where we might go that has not yet been fully cemented, depending on where our potentials are within the field. But the Akash can also change in the past, depending on what we are doing in the now and the healing, and because we are our ancestors and all the rest of it. So the Akash is very, very fluid, and people get too caught up on this linear thing because of our linear egoic attachment programming and so on. But yeah, you're absolutely correct. And just to add a little bit more even to that, it actually for the older souls will give you a representation of your pre-universal incantations. That's my dyslexia coming out, but who you were before this universe, because there are actually some souls who are older than this universe, because we are obviously part of the God creator, the Godhead and all the rest of it. And they say some of the deepest information that I've ever received and had confirmed is that actually when the Palladians talk about the multiverse, because there are multi-universes. Also, there are multi-universes because we are in multi-dimensionality, multi-timelines, and within that we have different densities, which are reality perception. But I've heard that when one membrane from a universe touches another, there is some sort of reaction that creates a new one. And but what's fascinating about just the different galaxies in our universe is that there are different types of physics within our universe. So the physics does slightly alter depending on where you are within our universe, according to dimensionality and also density, reality, perception, so on and so forth. And that is relational to how much DNA you have switched on, because it is the DNA that controls physical matter around you using your consciousness. And that is why, in Area 51, when you get people like Bob Lazar talking about that, there was 9 ships in the hangar and there was no buttons or anything, it's because these beings from Zeta Reticuli B were using it purely with consciousness, using that metal. I can't remember what it's called, but it's a special metal that doesn't come from this planet.
Adamantium.
Yes, that's the one. Oh my God, you've been watching.
Yeah, I've followed Bob Lazar and all those guys for years.
Yeah.
I mean, as usual, we should have spoken a few times. I'm really sorry that I didn't get. Alexander emailed me about a year ago, and I was like, I thought about it the other day, and I found this email, and I was like, it's a year ago. Oh shit, I didn't reply. It's been that kind of crazy fucking year, but everything's when it's supposed to be. There's loads to talk to you about today. I want to talk about your book. I want to talk about Linda. She's mind-blowing. I want to talk about, Alexander told me just before this that there's some YouTube channel out there that people think is me.
Yeah.
Believe me, this is the only YouTube channel I'm working on. I haven't got time to do anything else. And if you listen to that channel, if you're watching this, you know what this is. I'm not going to name the channel because I don't think it needs promoting. Yeah. That's not my voice. Come on, listen to my voice. Go listen to his. It's not me.
Yeah, I like you said, let's not mention any names. There's a YouTube channel out there that sounds like an articulate, eloquent English chap like yourself, and it is reviewing other YouTube channels within the spiritual community. And I had one or two quite big YouTubers actually send to me, go, "Is that Mark?" And I said, "Well, it's probably unlikely because he doesn't get involved with all the turmoil and the drama, all that nonsense." But I'm glad we clarified that, because a lot of people are watching that channel. It's got about 650 subscribers, think that it is you, and I'm glad that we clarified it didn't. But some people think it's you for the reasons that I brought up.
Yeah. I mean, if you're watching this and you think it's me, come and live my life. I'm a single father to 5 kids. I have a business. I'm turning out 2-3 videos a day. I'm going on a 5-day. I'm going away for 5 days to make a film on a road trip in the next. I ain't got time to do that, and I've never slagged anybody off, ever, and it's not what I do. Anyway, let's talk about your book, because it's nearly ready.
Yeah, I mean, it's extraordinary. I wake up every morning and I just think, is this still happening? The timeline starts with my mother having a premonition, because she was a psychic, and she said, "You're going to write a book and it's going to sell a lot internationally." And I said, "Go back to the magic mushrooms." No, I didn't say that, but I did. I was. This is when I was still in the 3D world, working in the music industry and whatnot and stuff. Anyway, I was working in Canary Wharf doing a part-time job after I left the music industry.
I worked there once.
Oh, did you?
At the Daily Telegraph, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, fascinating.
32 years ago.
I'd love to hear that story sometime. 33 years ago, when 33 years ago, I mean, I'm in Canary Wharf now. I mean, there was nothing here almost. I mean, so it would have been an extraordinary time. It was just a lot of it was marshland, actually.
Yeah, it was the first big building there. I think the Telegraph's not there anymore, but it was. Yeah. Anyway, you carry on talking.
So my mother said, "You're going to write this book and it's going to sell a lot internationally." And I said, "Go back to bed, sort of stop, probably I was rather condescending back in those days, when I hadn't quite got my ego in check." And anyway, this thing came to, and then I had lots of other psychics. I have a lot of psychics in my family. People think that what I'm doing is a bit random, but actually, in fact, my great-great-grandmother was one of the few survivors of the Titanic, because she had a premonition it was going to sink. So she alighted at island. Everyone thought she was crazy. Let's lock her up. And then actually it sank. My great-grandmother was actually, going back to the Telegraph, one of the first people to do an astrological page in the Telegraph. My uncle is a full-time tarot reader. Now I read the cards and the tarot. so it's something that runs in the bloodline. So this contract came to an end, and I did have a book there, and I knocked it out in 8 months. Just sat in my bedroom. So my commute was from my bed to my desk, which is next to my bed. So I lived in one room for almost 8 months. Living off tins of baked beans and stuff, because I was broke. And I knocked this book out, and I mean, my idol is one of a few idols, is Dolores Cannon, because of who she is, the work she did, but also, the flat out balls to come out and say the things that she did and face the persecution. And, that was such that was such a service to the cause and humanity and all of us. So it's paved the way. And I really respect and love that about her. So I sent this manuscript off to a few different publishers, and I sent it to Ozark, Ozark being the Ozark Mountains within Arkansas, Arkansas being where the Dolores Cannon family lived. That's why they call it Ozark Mountain Publishing.
This is from Arkansas.
Oh, is it?
Coincidentally.
Oh, lovely. I'm going to teach you a trick you can use with crystals and things, how to remove pain, but we'll do that at the end. So I sent it to them, the manuscript. I didn't hear anything for about 2 months, and then I got a reply back with a contract saying, "We're taking this." And it was extraordinary. So then after that, like a sort of 1.5 year period ensued, where Everything in big publishing takes a long time. There's a lot of steps. You have to get the permissions, and there's the editing stage. Then you have to send it off to the printers, and that takes another year. And it's a real marathon, and it takes a long time. And I worked with this woman who was a bit like an angel during the editing process. I think maybe she was an angel. I mean, she really felt like she was helping me get through the book and edit it, especially as I'm a dyslexic. So it was a bit like a disabled person running a marathon. And we got to the end, and now it's going to come out. I have already been informed that the pre-order sales have been incredible already. It's I mean, it's just extraordinary. It's just like a sort of a dream, really. I keep waking up to it, and it's just incredible. So there it is. It'll be everywhere. It's going to print sometime in September. I thought it was going to be the 1st of September. And my book will be sat there next to Dolores Cannon with the Ozark Mountain thing on, and when all of her books are published, my name will be in the back underneath the author. So it's a bit like me listening to my favorite album, Led Zeppelin 2, because my dad sat me down at 12 and said, check this out, but it stuck with me. And for all of those people that think you can't be spiritual and listen to rock music, you can. It's not satanic, blah, blah, blah. Let's just park all of that, because I know some people are thinking that. Yeah. It's a bit like listening to Led Zeppelin 2 and then Atlantic Records calling you up saying, hey, we want you on board too. So it's an honor. It's extraordinary. It's a responsibility. Because it's going to catapult me to another place towards the end of this year, and I need to be ready for that. So I'm preparing. But it's a real joy, and the reason I did this, Mark, is because we got to get these bloody star seeds and light workers up and running as quickly as possible. So I wrote something that with all the science, all the metaphysics, all the spirituality, everything, and connected the dots. Mm-hmm. Because there is a lot of people in professions out there in the world, could be science, recruitment, engineering, marketing, whatever, who are very good at their profession, but they're not masters of their profession. And because they're not masterful, they sometimes struggle to actually take a complicated concept, narrow it down into a way that actually even a child would understand. And that's what I've done in this book. I've taken a lot of very complex things in a lot of different areas, the science, the spirituality, and the metaphysics, and I boiled it down into a very easy to read, very digestible thing with all the dots connected. And I think that's why Ozark took it on, because it can take the beginner all the way up to the master in a very short space of time. So, I mean, thanks for bringing the book up. It's still pinch myself that it's happening. And I'll happily give you a signed copy when it's up and about.
I'll buy it. What's it called?
It's called Star Seeds. What's it all about?
What's it all about?
Yeah, Michael Caine. Yeah.
You're only supposed to blow the bloody entities off. Yeah. No, that's brilliant. And I shared your link the other day on YouTube. So send me that. I'll find that link and I'll put it underneath this video on my channel.
Thank you.
Go and get it, because it's really important. I'm a publisher. I publish books, and it's so important to get this information out in as many different modalities as possible. Because listening to a YouTube video is one thing, but sitting in bed with a book that's been thoroughly researched and well put together, there's no greater pleasure. I love my books. I've got books coming out of my ears.
Yeah, oh, lovely. Cosmic Origins. Oh, I like inviting ET. I like look at that one.
Yeah, I'm surrounded by books because I've always got these books on the go.
Book of Enoch.
Yes.
Book of Enoch. Yeah, what's that next one you got? Oh, Watchers of the Nephilim. Oh, lovely.
Yeah, all this kind of stuff. And I recommend reading to everybody because it's important, and people don't. Oh, that was my book. I wrote that in 3 days.
Oh God.
It's just really important. I wouldn't have half the knowledge that I have if it wasn't for books, because when I first started realizing everything was nuts, it was really, the internet was a baby. So there wasn't really any internet around. So and finding information like this is pretty easy now. Well, it's very easy compared to, we used to have to go into libraries, and I used to have to go down. I remember going down to antique bookshops and having to do dodgy deals under the counter with brown books in brown paper bags, that dangerous information, that kind of thing, which I kind of miss, because now you just go online and search for it.
Yeah.
But we're so censored now. It's great. It's great. It's a great achievement, and I'm really that's why I wanted to talk about it, because it is a great achievement. I know exactly what you mean when you say, because that's one of the funny things about doing this work. As an example, I was reading this one by Valiant Thor, Stranger at the Pentagon.
Valiant Thor, yeah, he has two hearts. He's Venusian, and I've read into that, yeah.
Yeah. So and then whilst looking into it, I was like, I can't believe this has not been made into a film. And then I found that there was a short film made in Hollywood in about 2016. Oh. And then I couldn't get it on. I think it was on Amazon or something. I wouldn't do that. So I found that it was on Vimeo. So I rented it and I watched it. And then I was like, I emailed the director, and then he emailed me straight back. And then we had a good chat. It's a really good little film, actually. I hope he gets the money to make the feature-length version. Yeah. But the 20-minute version is full of what you just said, a ship that has no dials or buttons, and it's all that kind of stuff. And then it goes through a wormhole to get to Earth. It's all about his dreaming. His wife says something on the ship to him, some like, I can't stand the duality here, it's too heavy. Can we please be safe? And it's got the Illuminati in it. It was brilliant little film. So I'm interviewing him soon. But it's like, sometimes you pinch yourself because you're like, oh, I'm talking to a Hollywood director. That's mad.
Well, but you're Mark Attwood, don't forget.
I'm just a bloke originally in the kitchen, now in the back room. Yeah. Now building a studio as well. I'm building a studio because I've taken on a film crew full time so we can make more stuff.
Oh, how extraordinary. Wow, good for you.
Yeah, they're getting better every time. And we're on this, I'm doing an event with, have you heard of Huna Flash?
No, I haven't, but it doesn't mean that she or he is not fantastic.
No, he's an interesting guy. He runs a thing called House of Huna, and he's been going around Europe and Mexico and places like that, running the Burning Mask events. And I'm a guest at his event this weekend in the east of Ireland.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah. Well, you're a brilliant compere, you're brilliant at doing the talking and things like that. And, you're natural at that.
Did you see the Great Awakening tour? I did 7 hours of comparing that day.
I didn't see it. I saw little bits and things, but yeah, you're a natural at that sort of thing.
Well, I enjoy it, and I enjoy making people laugh and just keeping them chipper throughout all of this. I haven't got your knowledge on the starseed aspects of it, but I've been interviewing quite a lot of people about it, and all these things coming up in consciousness. And one of the, you're doing amazing work, but we have to talk about Linda, because every time I listen to Linda, I really have to listen. it's and I'm like, what did she say? And a 1 hour video with her could take me 5 hours. It's really dense, isn't it, the stuff? But she's wonderful.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about Linda. Okay. Linda and I have, she's extraordinary. She actually is, I'll tell you something just before we, for those who don't know, Linda Good McGillis is a lady I have on my channel. And when we get together, it produces a lot of views. And people think she's extraordinary. Some people find her absolutely terrifying. But what is,
there she is.
Yeah, that's Linda. That's Linda. Yeah, Linda is. I have I would say 3 mentors. I've only ever had 3 mentors, and they're all much older women. My first one was Cynthia Howard. She was an actual test tube baby. So she was her DNA was mixed with Anunnaki and Zeta ET-DNA in an underground facility in.
I remember you telling me about her.
In America, yeah. She actually made this statue.
Yeah.
she was what I call a real hybrid. I mean, she actually could do telekinesis and things like that. So she was released into the world, but she was still too powerful. So they tried to kill her a few times with the classic way that they often try to kill people, which is car crash. And anyway, they actually did kill her in the end with the brain tumor, but that's another story anyway. And then there's another lovely lady who is when I do readings for people, everyone needs a mentor, in my opinion, because they keep you on track. And I love people who keep me on track, because they if I get a bit out of shape, I have very, very strong people who are much older than me, who keep me grounded, and I need that, and everyone needs that. And in terms of the galactic stuff, Linda does that for me. And she is extraordinary. We have a much more extraordinary conversations before we actually do our recordings.
I can imagine.
That are so out there that we don't record them, because I just don't think they would make any sense. It just would be ridiculous. So we get some of the really ultra ridiculous stuff out the way, and then we get on. But it's, Linda is like a pizza. Cryon is like a different type of pizza. If you go to Wendy Kennedy, who channels the Palladians, that's a different type of pizza. Linda Good McGillis is a very spicy hot pizza that takes no prisoners.
Yeah, she is.
So, all of them are nutritious. All of them, do what they say on the tin. So, some are softer than others. There is actually, I've been doing this since 2012, but actually there are some commonalities in the things that she says, that Cryon says as well. But because she has a spiciness that takes no prisoners, within a lot of the collective, there's a lot of inner wounded child healing still going on. There's a lot of shadow in the root, childhood trauma, but past life trauma. And when some people are ascension triggers, they are starseed activators, but she is a take no prisoners teacher. But what she sometimes does is have the ability to really trigger the shadow inside people, so that it can come up, so that they can see what it is inside themselves that actually needs dealing with. But because not everyone is spiritually balanced, especially going into these high energies, they're negating that process and then projecting it back onto her and saying she is one thing or the other, so on and so forth. So because I've been in this process for a very long time, I do the work. I go up to Glastonbury tour once or twice a month, and I sit up there and I meditate for hours, and I spend a lot of time alone and go on the stars and meditate and channel and speak my light language. And I do the bloody work. So that when the next wave comes in, I'm not totally in my mind and feeling schizophrenic and having a mental breakdown like some of these people are, when we're getting these massive supermoons and we're getting these shootings in America. And there's another massive supermoon coming up on the 13th of this month, and it will be the biggest one of this year, because the moon will, and I'm coming back to Linda in a minute, but the moon will be the closest it will be to the earth the whole year round. So we're going to see more, the lunar cycles, lunacy, more lunacy. We're going to see more people, if they're not in balance, of projecting more, being more in the head, mental, feeling schizophrenic, mental breakdowns, more tectonic plates, and more volcanoes, more eruptions, because that very, very close moon energy will disrupt the tectonic plates. So you'll have things moving around. Going back to Linda, I wanted to have her on my channel because she is explosive and she's very harsh, but I felt like a lot of the starseeds and the light workers would be able to handle it. And that's why I brought her on, because I didn't just want to have another blancmange, boring person who's just talking about the same SHIT all the time. And she is extraordinary, and she is a mentor for me, but she keeps me grounded. And when I get out of line, she gives me a smack on the bottom. And I love that, because we all need to have someone to keep us in check.
Yes.
So she is extraordinary. She also helped me get my light language up and running, amongst other things. And this is how extraordinary she is. I remember messaging her 2 months ago, and I was sat at my desk upstairs, just gazing on a Friday, like I'd finished work, it was 6 o'clock, and she popped in my head, and I said, "Hi, Linda, how are you? Haven't spoken to you in 3 weeks. How are you doing? What are you getting on to?" And she said, "Hi, Alexander." She didn't say it in this voice because she's got a husky voice, but this is what she wrote. She said, "Hi, Alexander. I'm doing great, honey. I'm sat in the dark with a candle whispering to Gaia." I was like, oh, wow. So, I mean, I just love people like this. So, so she's extraordinary, and she actually, I don't know whether it's public information. I don't know whether it can be public information, but I'm going to make it public information. But she sent me an email about a month ago, and she is going to come visit me, and we're going to Glastonbury in 4 weeks' time together, and we're going to do a lot of grid work there, and we're going to make a video together. So she's getting on a plane all the way from Texas.
Fantastic.
I'm going to pick her up from the airport. We're going to go to Glastonbury, drive together through the middle of the night. We'll arrive at midnight. We're going straight up the tour. We're going to do some grid work. The Lionsgate will be around that time, and we're going to be very, very, very busy making videos and stuff. So it will be
good.
Crazy. Linda thinks that around that time, there's going to be a new crop circle.
Yeah, well, yeah, there was one the other day. It was amazing.
Oh, was there?
Yeah, it was like two worlds coming in together.
Oh, yes, I saw that. Yeah.
Or going apart. I don't know.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. Down in
Wiltshire. Yeah.
No, it was Hampshire, I think.
I was at Hampshire.
Yeah.
So Linda thinks that around the time of the 8-8, or otherwise known as the Lionsgate's portal, which is going to be probably, I mean, hold on tight energy.
Yeah.
This year, that there will be one or two new crop circles forming, but especially one forming in the early hours of the morning, somewhere around that vicinity. So we'll be up at the tour doing grid work, meditating, spiritual work, and so on and so forth. So yeah, she's an extraordinary woman. I mean, I absolutely adore her. As I say, it's nice to have people that keep you in check. But, you know, Wiltshire, Salisbury, Hampshire, all around there, you know, there is history, you know, being that Stonehenge is a massive portal. There were a lot of elongated skulls that were removed from that area that we aren't allowed to know about. And there's a lot of Merlin energy, you know, a lot of the stones that were taken from Wales that were taken there made of a mineral called Priscilli or Priscilli, that special green stone that is very good for tapping into Merlin energy, ancient legend, English etheric energy all around there. So there's a lot of portals and things that still exist. A lot of them actually have been healed. A lot of them are closed down. And that's why you still get a lot of ET energies, because there's still a lot of, actually, you know, within the actual grids and the actual landmass, the actual crystalline grids of the earth, there's still a lot of actual history, because as we have the cache within our own subatomic particles within our cellular DNA, which is chemistry, you have that within the grids and the crystalline, the actual ground of Earth too.
Fabulous. That's what we're doing this weekend, is portal work and lots of meditation. And then on Monday and Tuesday, we're activating a diamond grid in Ireland, because the energy here has been kind of stagnated and kind of going backwards a little bit. So there's a really interesting group of people come together, and we're going to film all of that. I think it's really important we document these things. So that's great that you're doing that with Linda. That's fantastic. I mean, there's so much information out there. There's very few videos that stop me and I make time for, and yours with hers are definitely one of those.
Well, thank you. I mean, coming from you, that's a real honor, and I really appreciate that, because I really respect you, and I really respect your work. And also, you know, you're a really nice guy, you know, balanced as well, and that's why a lot of people come to your channel.
Yeah, I mean, the last few months, there was the Mercury retrograde, and then the Aries and Jupiter stuff going on, and the people's stuff coming up was like, I mean, I said I was observing it because it just all this kind of. That's why I would never do that YouTube channel. It's just been extraordinary to witness. And in the middle of it, I thought, well, I'm just going to keep making people laugh if I can, and keep bringing interesting new people on, because there's loads of people out there, and you know, people coming out of the woodwork. You know, when I had 3 people on yesterday who've been activated to pilot ships from the Ark, or from one of the Arks, and I find that too interesting not to discuss. And when you actually listen to these people, they're not making it up. It's fascinating, and so I'm just constantly fascinated and want to just keep doing that job of sort of this bridge. I think I'm a bridge between 3D world and 5D, whatever you want to call it. Hence my courses and things like that. And I'm running, and it came to me the other day. I was having lunch with my daughter, my 14-year-old daughter, and we used to live in Morocco. I don't know if I told you that before. And she goes, and she's nagging me because they've been locked down for a couple of years and hardly been able to travel. And I've got 5 kids, and only 2 of them have got current passports. And then the British government passport office have really done it on purpose, I think, but completely fucked it up. So it takes like 4 months to get a new passport. So she's got a passport, and she's like, "Can we go to Morocco?" Completely nagging me. And then I was thinking, okay, so I've got a friend having a party there in Marrakesh. We could go there and we could stay a week, and then you can have a nice time. And then I was thinking, if I'm going to go all the way there, I've got to catch up with this person. And then I want to go to Sidi Kalki, which is one of my favorite places on earth. It's like a old surfing village on the coast, which has not been touched for 50 years. It's beautiful. And then, and I was like, oh, my friend runs retreats. I wonder if there's a retreat. And I went, hang on, I'm going to run a retreat. So I'm running a retreat in Morocco in September now.
Brilliant.
In the Sahara. And I thought, I wonder if anybody wants to come.
God, I mean,
I had 100 people say they want to come, and I'm like, what? And suddenly I'm running a fucking retreat.
Yeah. When is that?
September the 10th to the 17th, probably. It's not confirmed yet.
Wow.
I only had the idea 48 hours ago, but that's how things are manifesting.
Yeah,
and everything's speeding up. Boris is about to go.
But you know why?
Go on. Oh yeah, well, why things are speeding up and manifesting, but why Boris is going?
Well, it's partly because I've written this down, but they're partly because there's a planetary configuration going on at this moment in time, especially from July 2nd up until about July 12th, and there is a very rare astrological event happening at this moment in time, which is a massive catalyst, accelerating events, but also causing something else. Which I'll go into in a minute. So it's a rare event, and people, people think that's why it's that CERN thing was happening, because the evil scientists, the cabal, the Illuminati. I keep on telling people to just park that, because it will not help you graduate into these higher energies.
I've been saying the same thing. Just stop giving all that your attention, and go back inside and get back to the frequency you need to be at.
All of the planets are currently in their sign of rulership at this moment in time, apart from the sun, and that's a very rare event. So it basically means when a planet is in their sign of rulership, that planet is able to do and express and filter down into our physical reality the attributes of that planet. And we have all of those planets doing that in this moment in time up until the 13th, when we have this massive supermoon. And I would recommend to people in America to stay at home during that time.
Really?
Yes, because there is a lot of unbalance in people at this moment in time, and there are a lot of awful shootings and things happening at this moment in time. And to stay safe and stay away from people who are out of balance.
Well, that's good advice all the time.
Yeah,
but harder to do.
but especially around that supermoon, because the lunar cycle. I think if in French is I can't remember the translation, but lunar cycle, lunacy, height lunacy around that time, and to be on extra guard. The supermoons are wonderful times, but to be extra careful around that time.
Bicyclette de l'estilo de la lune. That's my shit French.
Oh yeah, my God! I didn't know you speak French.
I don't. I'm really bad at it. But I get by. I could get by, but my kids would disagree.
Well, I could say it in light language, something to the effect of, please keep your soul safe during this time, would be something that's keep your soul safe at this time?
Yeah, I just did a soul retrieval session with a healer in Ireland called Abby Wynn. Lots of soul protection stuff coming up on my channel. All my channel content is just driven by intuition, and it's just about right people coming in and giving all these bits and pieces. But protection is critical. Although I don't know about you, but in the last 6 months, I've not felt any attacks like I did. The intensity of the attacks in 2020, 21 were off the charts. Physical attacks, there were spiritual attacks going on, but there were demonic attacks that were manifesting in the physical. I don't know if I told you this, but at one point I had to walk up the stairs on my hands and knees because something so heavy was on my back. And and attacks manifesting on your body in real life. I had my fuel lines cut on my car at one point. And sorry, it's my son. What? Oh yeah, okay. Give me five. Yeah, I've got to see. You think I've got time to make other YouTube channels? I've got children. So somebody actually put a comment the other day. It said, Mark and his mythical kids, why do you never see them on the internet? Because it's not safe to put your children on the internet, you idiot. Yeah. So I've got to go in 5 minutes to give him a driving lesson too.
Good. Okay, no problem at all.
But I'm glad you did the light language. Do you teach people how to do this light language, Alexander?
Yeah, I do. People, they always say to me,
you should do a course on it.
Well, I teach it privately.
If you did an online, I have a course teaching people how to make courses and stuff, don't you?
Yes, I know. I do. Yeah, I do. I do. You know what? I do private readings for people. I do healing, do chakra work and all kind of stuff. I'm still expanding my universe of courses and things like that and getting into it. So it's something I'm learning. I'm learning about. I've still got a great way to go, but I would love to get into all that sort of thing. In terms of teaching the light language, I teach it one-on-one. I'm actually thinking about maybe just doing a video and doing a freebie on it because I feel it's something that people should have. But people, they always say, how do I learn light language?
Well, you don't learn light language, do you?
Exactly.
Yeah, I know the answer to that question.
Well, we'll go on.
No, you have to. Well, now I'm on the spot. You have to you have to tap into it so that it comes through you.
Yes, you do. Yes, that's right. You don't. It's not something you learn. It's something you remember.
There we go. Well, I think that would be great. I might book a session with you then because I'd like to accelerate that part because I think I do it, but I've done it online once and I wouldn't do it very often because I don't want people going, he's full of shit. But it's a wonderful thing when you do it. And I did an interview with a woman. I made a little film a couple of weeks ago with a woman here, amazing female spiritual warrior here called Shakti. And she did light language. We were in the Stone Circle, which is near Limerick, called the Grange Stone Circle.
Oh yeah. Very, very old. I know that.
Very old. Yeah. Very powerful.
I'm half Irish, so
I'm a quarter Irish.
Yeah, so I'm sorry to hear about that.
Yeah,
no, I'm joking.
It's the alcoholic quarter.
Yeah.
And she was doing light language. We sat there meditating, and she did some light language and burst into song. And I just watched the footage of it yesterday. It's just extraordinary because when people hear it, it affects everything. And this is why I held this up, because everything's got a frequency. Yeah. And it's once you start understanding that, and I know you're advanced in this, but a lot of people are still learning, and so I think it's your duty to make courses.
Yeah, well, I am. I'm going to. It's really something I need to be getting on with, amongst everything else. But I would like everyone to try and be able to speak it to because when you speak it, it not only brings down more of your higher self, but more of a remembrance of your star family. We have lots. I'm repeating myself, lots of different lineages of star family, but certain attributes will be more necessarily necessitated depending on what your mission is down here at this moment in time. So there will be certain attributes akashically, which we link to things that you need to have linked to certain star systems that you came from, that you will feel most assimilated to at this moment in time for what is needed right now, because also what happens here affects there too.
Yeah.
People forget that. It's not what you're doing here is also affecting where your home planet is, just as a sweeping generalization. But also, when you speak star language, it activates your abilities.
Yeah.
So I remember
gonna have to wrap it up, I'm afraid. I've got to leave.
Okay. So
I could talk to you for hours, but
yeah,
sorry, I have to squeeze these things in.
So it's basically it's good for everything. So yeah, where are you taking your boy for driving?
Well, no, he's got a job, and that's why he's going to be there at a certain time.
Right, got it. Right,
but
go.
He's learning to drive, and everything's unfolding exactly as it should be. It's all good. Amazing things are going on, and thank you, Alexander, for your service and your work, because I love it, and we'll catch up soon, and I'll book a session. Sorry, I've got to go. But
no, pleasure. Okay.
All right. See you later. Take care.
Bye.